Sonic the Hedgehog, The Flash, Superman, Koro-sensei, Sky, Charlene, Maeve, Lex, what have they all got in common? Yes, you've guessed it, being freaking speedy as all hell. So today we're specifically talking about the new movement speed bonus stacking with some degradation, and the honestly ridiculous speeds you can get up to with the right loadouts in Paladins Open Beta 61. Now, before we continue, I would like to apologise if you're unable to follow the images on the screen as they contort and contract at light speed, but that is the nature of this patch. You gotta get that swift movement to win those juicy kills. So what's happened very briefly, as I've already talked about it quite a bit, is high-res have normalized stats from cards, items and abilities to stack together. The highest stat will stay, but all the other stats after that will have degradation and will basically be lower than original values, but will stack on top of your highest value. And on movement, the other cards are 95%, you have 150% extra speed as a cap. So as a conniving person, my first thought this patch was, how much can we stack champion speed bonuses and nimble and break this thing? And honestly, the result is, quite frankly, a bit shocking. Well, actually I had expected it, but the effect is so blatant, it really feels like it shouldn't be in, and it's a bit of an oversight. Currently in the background is footage of Sky with the race card loadout, which I have covered before, and stated was pretty bananas, but was hard to pull off in actual matches, as you had to get the kills, and wasn't as ridiculously fast as it is now, but because of the stacks of having nimble and other things, it takes it to a new insane height where you go full supersonic, ripping from one side of the map to another with no problem at all. Sure, hitting enemies is harder, but at your max speed, you're surely going to be harder to hit, especially with invisibility on top of that, and it pretty much works that way. You'll get away from a lot of engagements, whilst people are just scrambling to find you, even groups of people. So breaking it down, you can stack the hidden card, which gives 32%, the kill card, so every kill you get 60% afterwards for 12 whole seconds. It's insane. And the smoke card gives 32% for like 5 seconds, and nimble base, which will give you extra 30% just all the time. Now again, there are diminishing returns, but like I say, you'll blaze across the map, and you can see it here, it's just ridiculous. On top of Sky, you can also do the same stacking with all of Charlene's movement bonus cards on top of each other with Nimble, and the funny thing is, Charlene is actually broken on the public test server. You can't even pull back your bow, but how if the enemies can actually catch you as you speed off after you withdraw and doing planted out of nowhere. And actually I won my match when I played with him, even though we had a bot on our team. Admittedly, the enemy team also had a bot, but ours didn't even leave the spawn room. It was just ridiculous. I was only using planted and running around, sometimes firing little. You can actually just fire single shots from Charlene, but it's rubbish because it's like 63 damage. And we still won. It was ridiculous. It pretty much works with anyone with the cards. Lex 2 has his right click broken, so doesn't hit it. But who cares about that? You can move at breakneck speeds once you actually slide, or if you're close to your retribution targets. And there's a base buff too in the cards. And I'm not gonna lie, the match where I played Lex, I didn't even bother to control my shots. I just kept speed surfing across the map and spaffing like a madman in people's faces as they basically struggled to catch up with me, even just dancing circles around them, to be honest. You can get some pretty nifty speeds with Maeve and Leanne too, but I didn't have quite the same effect I did with all these other champions, as they could either spam in people's faces or take pot shots from further away. Both are very effective, the first two aren't that skillful. Honestly, I do feel this is the patch of not thinking very much. This normalization is all very well and good, and I do think it did actually suck. That movement cards has zero effect after the first one, making Nimble pretty pointless, but this has swung it in the opposite direction so much. I mean, I would be a little less critical if they weren't fumbling through with this cauterized stack system without actually lowering the values of cauterize on an already ridiculously strong attribute, just saying high res. And I think from here, if they are sticking to their guns, they want to go through with this, they might want to lower the cap a bit from that 150%, look at revamping a lot of the cards and characters, either lowering the movement bonuses a bit, or even changing the equation for the movement speed, or perhaps even changing the duration of some of these cards. And honestly, if Charlene was actually working in the public test server, you'd never be able to pin them down whilst he wrecked the enemy team. It's really bonkers. Even if all of the others never became something serious because they aren't as strong, it definitely isn't fun to play against them because it's just so easy to get into people's faces and not aim and basically just dance around, especially Sky and Lex. But saying that, if you do want to become a race car, the public test server might be for you and you might want to try it out. But remember, you're going to be fighting against people that essentially picked up the star power in Mario Kart 2. Unless both teams stack speed buffs and it turns into some weird game of two-sided pinball. But actually I haven't seen that many people taking advantage of this yet. Just a few people here and there that are as conniving as I am. Either way, as funny as it can be, this PTS is definitely quite messy. It honestly feels like you're speed hacking most of the time on these champions I've mentioned. I mean, I was not always altogether for the movement ability nerfs earlier in the year, where they nerfed a lot of the flankers abilities especially, but at least those abilities had defined cooldowns for the most part. Darkstalker. But here you can pretty much mostly speed around the map no matter what. Either the cards are tied to an ability or they're tied to basically 3 abilities, so you always have some sort of movement speed going on. And that's a bit of the problem as well, that it's not just that there's 1 movement speed bonus, you're getting like 3 or 4 at once. And with champions with only like 1 movement speed bonus card, it's not as bad. And I think that's the problem with it at the moment. So what does everybody else think about this? Has anyone else been playing on the public test server? And what do people think that have seen my footage today and heard what I thought? Does anybody think on the contrary that this is good and adds a different flavour to the game? Well, let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Joshino.